Okay, now that we're familiar with all the parts, let's try putting on the bike. So I'll start off with the battery pack. So what we have here is the battery pack we assembled earlier in the quick release connector. So we'll put that on the bike first. So we need an Allen key to assemble the little bracket onto the bike. This can easily be done without the bracket if you use the strap type bag, but I'll just show the quick release bag. So what we do is we leave this up in here. A little bit of bumbling. Bracket. Do these up. I generally put this bracket as far back on the saddle as possible, just to give us some extra room to assemble to attach the bag. So that's now on. That allows us to attach our bag. So this strap will end up around the seat post. Clip that on. Put our strap around the seat post to secure, and the battery bag's now on. Next, what I'll do is let's put the whole brain box on. So there's a bit of a mess of cables, but it looks a lot neater once it's on. So first thing I typically do is assemble the head unit onto the handlebars. So I'll provide close-up pictures or something of this to show it how easy it is, but simply wraps around the handlebars. There's a little clamp, so that's now on. This cable here will be the throttle, so I generally assemble that onto the handlebars. Again, I'll show close-up pictures of that later, but essentially I'll just wrap the cable around the brake cable, get a small piece of this Velcro strap, which has a small hole cut in it to allow the button through, and position that on the left handlebars. I find easier because the right handlebars typically do the front brakes, so I like to have my right hand free to do those, and my left hand can concentrate on the throttle. So that's now throttle installed and the display head unit. So next we want to run the main shunt and microcontroller back. My preference is actually to install this in the battery bag. This means I can't remove the battery pack easily, but it does make for a neater installation. So I'll just run that back. So this cable here will run along the top tube, then up into the battery bag. So there's two elastic straps on the bottom of the battery bag. I'll run this through those just to keep all the cabling neat, and then place this into our battery bag. So I'll plug in the battery while we're at it. Next we have a fairly long cable for the wheel sensor. The reason that's long is so we can install it on the front of the bike or on the back of the bike. The reason for this is that some rear frames, the stays here are actually quite a distance away from the spokes, and it's too far for the wheel sensor to pick up the magnet when it's on the spokes. But this is a road bike, and they've actually made this quite close together. So I prefer to put this on the back wheel, so when the back wheel's moving, which is what the motoring drive engages with, it'll all be correct, so I can show you it all working on the bike. But before I do that, I might just put the magnet on the spokes. So just like any other bike computer, that'll go on the spokes. I'll just do it loosely at the moment, just so I can work out where I need that. So next, I'll just wrap this slightly around the stays, and I'll provide a couple of quick release cables. Again, cable ties. This just makes it easy to pop this on and off if you need to switch the unit between bikes. So just make sure that that wheel sensor's nice and close to the magnet, and then drop the screw. And I'll just snug up the cable tie. I'll just use the second cable tie to secure the cable. Just turn around the other way, so it doesn't get loose and in the way when you're actually operating the bike. So this will just clean up with a couple more Velcro straps. So one of these at the back here, and the second one I'll just run forward and up around there. Okay, so that's now all the brain box installed, battery installed. Next thing is the motor and the controller. So I'll just do the motor first. So we'll need a large Allen key just to undo those two bolts. Okay, so now this installs in the rear triangle, like the tyre here. So we'll just position in there. Gently do up 2 screws. Now this has already been assembled to this bike before, so I know the setup's about right. But the most important thing is to tune it once you've assembled it. So I'll cover that in a separate video. This will just be the basic installation. So put it about there. Snug those up. Next we just need to install the motor controller. I like to position this underneath the battery bag with those 2 elastic straps that we saw earlier. So what I'll do is I'll just run that in. Just pull those cables in. I'm feeding through the battery cable and the throttle cable. So these will both head up into the battery bag. So we can now connect the battery cable to the brain box and also the throttle cable. Make sure that the colours all match and get them right. Okay, so that can now tuck away in our bag and we can close up our bag. So that keeps everything neat and out of the way. What we do have left hanging down here is the on-off switch, which I'll just tuck away into those elastic straps. The last one is our phase cable connectors here. So depending on the motor you select and the length of the phase cables in that, and the length of the phase cables out of your motor controller, you may or may not need these extensions. On this one I don't need them, so I can connect those phase wires directly to the controller. 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty much installed. Let's just see if it runs. So I'll switch the on and off switch on. You can hear the typical startup speed. So if I hit the throttle now, it won't work, because there's a setting on here to be up to a minimum speed before you engage drive. So if I start that off and hit the throttle, she's up and running. That's pretty much it.